Well, people are totally clueless about how to extract the maximum out of V4Gs. And that is the biggest challenge which I've seen. Now, culture is not built overnight. Just by getting a person into your domain will not help. There would be resistance to change. People are very comfortable in their own domain. They have their own aspirations. Except that God has created us in the physical domain a bit differently. Rest, everything is same. And when I talk about being same is the resolve is same. That fastidious approach to life is same. वो एक जिद होती है ना इंसान के अंदर कुछ कर गुजरने की. A simple suggestion from somebody can ease out the process in front of you, but you are not taking that help. And many times people, especially males, I have seen, and I'm speaking that also for myself, हम बहुत सी चीज़ों को इतनी तवज्जो नहीं देते. Because in the military we have been taught one thing, that whether it is a soldier's wife or it is an officer's wife or it is women folk at large, they have a special place and we respect them very, very differently. People give you respect based on your social status. आपके पास कितना पैसा है, आपका कितना इन्फ्लुएंस है, आप कितने लोगों के ऊपर रोप डालते हैं, उसके बेसिस पे लोग आपको इज्जत देते हैं. आज से बहुत साल पहले एक ऑटो के पीछे ये लिखा हुआ देखा था, वो मेरे जहन में आज भी छपा हुआ है. एक ऑटो के पीछे लिखा हुआ था कि अगर आपके पड़ोसी के साथ अन्याय हो रहा है और आप उसे देख रहे हैं तो चिंता मत कीजिए, अगली बारी आपकी है.
Hello everyone, welcome again to my show Men's Talk Town. So what is this about? It is about men expressing their views about women. And in this series today again I have a very prominent guest and a very special guest. As I speak about him, you'll definitely come to know why he is special and who he is. So I would like to welcome Colonel Tarun Kumar sir. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sonali. Thank you for giving this privilege of sharing my views.
Sir, it's an absolute honor to have you on the show, and I'm so thankful that finally we could make it after the few technical hiccups what we had. And thank you so much for your patience. You've been very supportive, and I really admire that and appreciate that, and I'm
No,
so
it's all in
thankful
a
for
great
that.
work.
So I'm quickly going to introduce Sir in few words. So Colonel Tarun Kumar sir, widely known as Forcemultipliers on social media, he is a distinguished figure whose journey from the battlefields to boardrooms is truly inspiring. His early days were marked by a deep commitment to serving his country, culminating in a heroic tenure in the Indian Army. As a battle survivor of the harsh Siachen Glacier, Colonel Kumar's resilience and leadership were forged in the most challenging conditions. Today, he leverages his extensive military experience to guide clients through his unique battlefield to boardroom strategies. He is also the host of the popular YouTube podcast Buland Honsle, where he explores the concept of human brilliance through engaging conversation. A prolific speaker, Colonel Tarun Kumar is a renowned leadership coach, an established startup mentor, and a passionate sustainability evangelist. His insights and experiences continue to inspire and empower individuals and organizations alike. Wow. So, reading that itself is such a great thing. And please tell us like about your journey and how it's been and how you have reached where you are today.
Sonali, when we start our journey, everything happens where we are in a domain not knowing how things will pan out. Whether it was joining the armed forces or later on taking a plunge of shifting or transitioning to the corporate world. Both come with their own set of challenges. The only thing is that the training in the military trained us how to navigate ourselves when time came to take that plunge, because unfortunately we cannot stay in the uniform forever. However, there is an old saying that आप एक फौजी को यूनिफॉर्म में रख सकते हो, लेकिन फौजी के अंदर से उसकी यूनिफॉर्म नहीं निकाल सकते हो. So we all are so much attached to the life that we have spent. And I think that is something that always keeps us on our toes, makes us do, even when we are in the civil street surrounded by people with different value system, that we should uphold whatever was so dear to us while we were wearing that uniform. Now, coming to this transition, the journeys are beautiful, but then all journeys are not a cakewalk. Whether it was in the army, whether it is in the civil street. Now, in the civil street, what happened is that you come out with a lot of hopes, aspirations. ये कर देंगे, ऐसा हो जाएगा, people are going to lap me up and all those things. You get a lot of respect for your service. But then, how does that service gets translated to the corporate world is a very difficult ask. How can people are totally clueless about how to extract the maximum out of V4Gs. And that is the biggest challenge which I've seen them. They are not at all aware of that, how they can get something out of 4Gs. So you'll find most of the 4Gs, they will either end up in the security domain or in the supply chain or in the domain of administration, because that is something where people from the corporate world or the civil street, they think that we are good at. We are even good at flying planes. We can make a bridge overnight. We can do almost anything and everything that is unthinkable to people who are performing in their own domain. We don't believe in working in the silos. We believe in working as a team. And when the time comes, we will be performing other people's tasks with the same finesse as is expected out of them. When I say same finesse, means I'll not be as good an electrician as somebody else, but the basics I would know. So that we should be able to get over that operational necessity at that point in time. And that is something that has been ingrained into us. Coming from this kind of a domain, getting your value proposition known to the people was a difficult challenge. It took time. Another important thing is that, especially with me, and I think I'm speaking for most of us out here, we are very shy of putting a price on the kind of value proposition that we are bringing onto the table. So, हम मांगते नहीं हैं, लोग देते नहीं हैं, and you end up
Very
working
true.
for free for quite some time. And that was something which also happened over a period of time, and destiny played a big role when, beyond my imagination, I was offered for my keynote address. And then I realized that this is the kind of prices, this is the kind of services, this is the kind of value we are bringing onto the table. This is the kind of value proposition. Look, here I'm not speaking by attending a 2-day workshop. Here I'm speaking my heart and soul, having led people into some of the most difficult situations and extricating them out of those situations in one piece. So the kind of experience we bring in is totally different, unheard of, and very relevant to something that corporate world is struggling with, and that is building trustworthy teams and making them work as a team. So trust and teamwork are these two things which are so badly needed in the corporate world. They're trying to work hard, and that's why they hire people from the military, that armed forces, that we would love to have the similar kind of culture. Now, culture is not built overnight. Just by getting a person into your domain will not help. There would be resistance to change. People are very comfortable in their own domain. They have their own aspirations. And how do you gel them into a team is a work in progress. And that is what I help organizations work on. That is what I help people build up in their organizations, because ultimately when everybody comes around and says that, कर्नल साहब हमारे को आप ऐसा कर दीजिए कि हमारी जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है ना वो भी एक मिलिट्री की टीम की तरह ना वेल ऑयल्ड मशीनरी की तरह काम करे. सो यू नो दैट द इंटेंशन इज गुड, however they don't know how to do it. And it is not that all of a sudden somebody comes right in the middle of things and starts changing things. It takes time. It takes time. And that is what I help organizations in their transformation. I help them with a lot of things which they feel that it was impossible for them. And I say no, it is very much possible. अगर आपकी नीयत ठीक है तो काम हो जाएगा. So, and that is how I worked around, created my signature program called as Battlefield to Boardroom Strategies. And I started helping people because being an instructor, having trained soldiers abroad, having taken part in a lot of operations, and getting mortally wounded yourself and still surviving, it was the blessings of the people with whom I've served that today we are having this conversation. And if that be so, the same thing can be informed, taught, and implemented in the corporate world, provided people have the ability to understand what it takes and they are willing to incorporate certain changes in their working mechanisms. If they do that, any and every place would be as good because they are fighting their battles in their corporate boardrooms. But then that battle is more within than with the outside world. You're fighting with your own people, you're fighting amongst your own teams, you're fighting to prove your own superiority. No, that's not the thing. If when you're working as a team, other people are bridging that gap which you are not good at. And that is why even in a game of cricket, everybody is not a bowler, a fielder, or a wicket keeper. Everybody performs a particular specific job. And similarly in football, everybody is not a striker, everybody is not a defender. So we ought to have a team where people they come with their own strengths, and your strength and my strength, when they combine, come as a force, they make such a potent, uh, such a potent team or such a potent force to reckon with, that people understand that this is how we want our organizations to function, and it happens. Ultimately, people understand that ट्रस्ट करना ज़्यादा मुश्किल नहीं होता. आपको सिर्फ अपना दिल साफ और खुला रखना चाहिए.
वो बहुत मुश्किल है. I think people find it
ये
difficult. But what you said, I
या
think you have
देखो मैंने
represented.
या वन थिंग आई विल टेल यू. लॉट ऑफ पीपल आस्क मी कि what if others they don't trust me, and I always tell them create something where if somebody is not responding to the trust that you have shown to them, nothing much is lost. So make your stepping stones, have your milestones, where अगर ये हुआ तो इसके बाद मेरा ट्रस्ट लेवल थोड़ा और बढ़ेगा, और ये हुआ तो और बढ़ेगा. On the very first day you don't give them 100% trust, but then to whatever extent you give them that trust, at that point, at that level, it has to be 100%. There is nothing called as partial in character, integrity, and trust. You can't
Absolutely.
say I
And
am partially honest. So you can't say I have partial integrity. No, either
no,
it is 100% or it is
percent
zero.
or it's not.
Similarly,
Very
it is with trust.
very true.
So
And I
these,
think you have
so these
spoken
are
for
the two
most
things
of the
that I work.
people. Very true.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever you said word by word, I mean, I think you have spoken for most of the, or rather, majority of the officers and what the other people also feel and think. So that's a very very crucial thing and very good insight you have given in there, and I totally agree with that. So we are next. We are going to dive down into the topic that is about men's talk town. So first question for you would be like, who are the women in your life and how do you encourage them?
I don't encourage
All
women,
those,
those who are
all
there
those who want to
feeling.
reveal.
I get encouraged by them.
Okay.
There are two women who have impacted my life to a larger extent. One was my mother. I think my value system came through her. If I'm religious, it's because I've seen her, in spite of being a working woman at that age. Today she's 75 plus, and the kind of things she used to do, the kind of routine she used to follow, the kind of discipline that she exhibited, if I can follow it even today to that extent, I think there's no way you cannot do whatever you wish to achieve in your life. And then I was fortunate enough to get my soulmate, uh, another fiery woman. Nothing is unachievable for her. And in fact, she proved herself when she was just turning at the cusp of 50, when she won Mrs. India.
Oh,
And
how?
I was like, it was something which was not even on the horizon. And she just happened to ask me that, do you think I should do something like this? And I said that, why don't you go and apply? And she was a fashion designer, because we were going together. So she sacrificed her career and got married to an army officer, then learned her B.Ed and did this, that, because the only profession she could ever be as a person was that
Sports teaching,
wherever Forge gave us an opportunity, she could be in teaching.
teaching.
Uh,
Absolutely.
Thankfully, those days there was no Instagram, there was no social media, so she couldn't have worked from the home or used our government accommodation for those purposes. And the most important thing is that our government accommodations are not meant for such commercial activities. So we were brought up in that environment where we could never dream of doing anything which would give me extra bucks, even if it was from my wife's side. She could go out, work herself outside the cantonment or in the army schools, and earn a decent life for herself. But she will not use the army infrastructure to
Yes.
use
To
her
leverage your
expertise.
business or
Yeah, so leverage that thing. Uh, I think we were a bit old fashioned probably, because things have changed a lot over a period of time. And these two women, I take a lot of inspiration from. Rather than I inspiring them, I took all the inspiration from them.
okay,
So,
that's really
and I have
something
no
you
hesitation
also.
in, yeah, I
Yes,
have no hesitation in accepting it.
that's
Like,
wonderful. That's
we could not have done anything, Sonali, in our careers if my wife was not supporting and was the pillar of strength for the family. We were deployed, running after terrorists, doing this, that, getting deployed, not coming back home for almost 6 to 8 months in a year, and she was holding the fort. She has attended more PTAs than I would have attended in my entire journey in the military. And she knows my our children much better than what I know, because whenever we were there, it was good time, partying, and all those things, because that was the only thing we could do.
absolutely, totally agree. So yes, as you said, that these women definitely they are part of your life and they hold a important position. So on the similar lines, on professional front, have you worked with any lady officers, or rather in civil, maybe when you have moved out or worked in somewhere, or come across female colleagues whom you see as a strength, or any viewpoints regarding that?
No, I have come across uh, multitudes of women, both in military as well as in civil life, and I find that except that God has created us in the physical domain a bit differently, rest everything is same. And when I talk about being same, is the resolve is same, that fastidious approach to life is same. वो एक जिद होती है ना इंसान के अंदर कुछ कर गुजरने की, that is same. The ability to prove yourself given whatever limitations you are working in, that is same. you want to be the best that you are doing, that is almost same. Our challenges, because of the way God has created us, are very different, and that is where the differentiation happens, and we must acknowledge and accept that. So the problem arises when we start equating them and saying that, or women starts, like I happen to know a lady officer, uh, a young lady officer, who said, there was this conversation going on between the officers, and I happened to come into that room, and it was a tea break happening for a board of officers, and she was challenging that, make me run. And in the OTA, I was the cross country top, this thing, that thing, and all those things. And I said, if in my unit I beat the best runners and all those things. So I said, if you are focusing on beating your male counterparts, you're losing a big part of your bonding with them. Your aim is to gel with them and not beat them hands down. So the point is, many a times, because of the lack of maturity, or because of the way people have created a narrative that there is a tiff going on between both the sexes, it's not like that. The only
So, but I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you a bit here as you mentioned this incidents. So, don't you think that at times women do have to prove multifold? I mean, a bit more at times, that how good they are or how strong they are, not in physical sense, but in their work as compared to male counterparts. And in even in civil, we have seen
yes,
at
yes,
times
yeah.
that though they are good, maybe
There is
they
also
are
a reason.
okay.
Yeah, please continue.
No, no, please. I mean, that's my. I'm just trying to
So,
understand, like, what is the thought process behind that? Could a man have, or what do they think? I mean,
uh,
I'm not saying you represent all the men, but I'm just trying to understand a
yes.
general part of it.
Okay, so the general part of it is that, I I have seen that yes, women end up proving themselves a lot more in a male dominated, because obviously wherever they are not in domination. They don't have the requisite numbers, and if they are there, so they are trying to prove that they can do it or whatever. Men want to help, men want to support them also. But the problem is that most of the women, uh, they have been not maturely informed about that helping necessarily does not mean something more. Helping is a very genuine thing. The way I help a male member, similarly, I would like to help a female member. But the moment you are helping a female member, the environment and the females, they view it very differently as compared to
Right,
the male member. So
right.
that there is a challenge there. And
Okay.
similarly, most of the time, I have seen that women are under stress, under pressure to prove themselves. We have not put that pressure on them. Certainly not me. But they have themselves put that pressure on themselves, or probably it's some kind of a self imposed pressure that I have to prove myself in this gathering of males, that I can do it. And you'll find that more means, maybe I was fortunate enough, even if there was some naysayers or somebody with a negative approach, or somebody who did not respect women for whatever they were bringing on the table, they were not even 1%. When majority of men are there supporting women without any ulterior motives or without any hidden agendas, you'll find that even those 1%, 2%, they would sit quietly, because they do not have the courage to openly run down somebody, and that too from an opposite sex, as compared to people from their own gender. So this was something which I realized, that they have themselves unnecessarily put themselves under too much of pressure, saying that मेरे को प्रूव करना है, सारे आदमियों को प्रूव करना है, अपने आप को प्रूव करना है. अरे भाई, कोई आपको प्रूव नहीं मांग रहा है आपसे. आप अपना काम कीजिए. आपको जितना काम आता है, जहां आपको लगता है कि मैं नहीं कर पा रही हूं, आप वहाँ पे मदद माँगिए जैसे बाकी लोग एक दूसरे से मदद माँगते हैं। But then I've seen that they don't ask for help, and then they put themselves under more pressure because they're not asking for help. And that is where the problem comes, because then they feel that we have been left out. We have been thrown to the wolves. We have been left to fight our own battles. There was nobody to support me. But we all need help, and we all should have that kind of thing. Look, I have seen and learned one thing in life, Sonali. I don't hesitate at whatever stage I was if I was not able to accomplish something, or if I had a deadline, or if I had something that I had to provide by a given deadline and I was not able to meet. Either before time I went ahead and asked for an extension, or I requested for help, support, more hands. अब मैं ये दोनों चीजें नहीं करूंगा तो then I'm in thick soup. So
Right.
I have to understand that thing. Unfortunately हम क्या करते हैं, हम कहीं ना कहीं अपने आप को प्रूफ करने में भूल जाते हैं कि we are all part of an ecosystem and there are people who have more experience, and just by reaching out to them and saying कि I feel lost here or I feel stuck here, a simple suggestion from somebody can ease out the process in front of you, but you are not taking that help. And many times people, especially males, I have seen, and I'm speaking that also for myself, हम बहुत सी चीजों को इतनी तवज्जो नहीं देते. We don't give so much of importance to things,
Importance
no,
to,
which other
yes,
person is thinking कि yes,
yes,
कि वो
yes,
किसी मेल कलीग को लग रहा होगा कि everybody is watching her. Nobody is watching you. Nobody is spending undue attention to you or whatever. It is just that you happen to be part of that ecosystem, so fine. But we have to get out of these mindsets.
yes. I think what one of the advices, again, I would say that this depends from situation to situation, because not everywhere the setup is same, and people do face challenges. I mean, the ladies. However, as you said, that reaching out for help is one of the very important factors which is missed out, because they go ahead with a concept of no one is going to come up, or as you said, that if not one person, maybe another experienced person, not all are same. So they can definitely reach out, and they can ask for help if required.
I'll share a very while you were sharing this thing, I got reminded of an incident when the parliament attack took place. So we all got deployed. So where we were deployed on the western borders, there was this engineer company, and unlike we being part of the fighting arms, there were no women there. In the engineer company, there were some women officers and youngsters, lieutenants. So with the company commander, this particular lady was there. She was part of the field company. So obviously they get deployed in the deserts or wherever. So when the situation uh, turned a little bit easier and everything, and now we realize that after 6 months of deployment that we are not going back, but at the same time we are not even leaving a deployment because there was a political uncertainty, because the entire Indian armed forces were mobilized, and nothing happened thereafter. So we were given an opportunity to go back and meet our families depending upon how far we were from the borders. So I still remember that this particular officer and me used to go back to our homes together. So we'll meet at a junction point, and from there we used to go together. So when the very first time I was going back, so I found that this lieutenant was there in his vehicle. So obviously at that point we will meet. So both our uh, gypsies will come together. Then we will our helpers or buddies or drivers will take out the flask, offer tea and all those things. And this lady officer came out. Good morning, sir. So I looked at him and I said, obviously, because I was not having these lady officers with me, so I was feeling very blessed because I did not had to face that problem of now where do I leave this officer. So when every time he used to go home to meet his wife, he had this special provision of taking this lady officer with him back to the military station where the officer mess used to be open, but because there was no cookhouse which was functional in the rear, so इस ऑफिसर के घर से खाना आता था इस लेडी ऑफिसर के लिए. And
Oh,
for those 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, this lady officer would be staying there, and then she'll come back with us back to the because I asked him. I said, "Ki when you are leaving, if there was a male officer, you would have left him to look after your company." He said, "She being a female, and all my boys are males. If I'm not there, so that is how a father figure he was to this lady officer." And it brought me to the mindset or to a conclusion that we are all very protective.
exactly.
That is what our upbringing is. We are all
Now
very
there is
protective of a
there are
woman
other two
folk.
ways of looking at it probably. I'm sorry I interrupted you, I think, sorry. But I think there are ways of looking at it that, oh, why I'm also an officer. Why can't you leave me back? And there are ways of looking at it. But then, as you mentioned, yes, as you mentioned, that it is the company commander's responsibility, or he takes it that way, that no, if under me I am someone is with me, I need to take care of that
Yes,
person,
I need
or
to
the
do. So
situation,
I'm the
whatever the
father figure.
situation, exactly, the
Yeah.
situation demands. Yes,
So I'm the
yes,
father figure, and it is my decision. I would not like to leave you without knowing. And because this lady officer had come during this period of time, got posted to the unit, so obviously she was also had not had that kind of connect with the soldiers.
right,
And if something wrong, something bad, something unpleasant happens
yes,
because she has not been groomed how to
yes,
interact with the soldiers and other
true,
things,
true,
it might lead to a nasty situation. Hence, he was erring on the positive side. But
very
then
true,
that particular erring was also stemming from the fact that he was more protective towards the women folk, because in the military we have been taught one thing, that whether it is a soldier's wife or it is an officer's wife, or it is women folk at large, they have a special place and we respect them very very differently. Means no words about it. If you go to the officer mess, irrespective of the lady being married to a senior or a junior officer, everybody will get up.
yes,
That's a fact. That doesn't
correct,
happen in the civilian world.
yes,
People give you respect based on your social status.
status,
आपके पास कितना पैसा है, आपका कितना इन्फ्लुएंस है, आप कितने लोगों के ऊपर रोब डालते हैं, उसके बेसिस पे लोग आपको इज्जत देते हैं, ना कि आपको इसलिए इज्जत देते हैं क्योंकि हम इस जेंडर को इज्जत देते हैं. As a commanding officer, if my soldier's wife comes to my office, anybody and everybody, including me, will get up.
yes, absolutely,
Not because she is a soldier's wife. No way. We respect her firstly because she is a woman,
absolutely,
and
woman,
because
yes,
and in our parlance they deserve the maximum respect because the kind of work they are doing. अगर वो नहीं है तो हम अपना काम अच्छे से नहीं कर सकते. मेरे सोल्जर्स अपना काम अच्छे से नहीं कर सकते. उनका दिमाग हमेशा घर में रहेगा, अपने परिवार में रहेगा. बट इफ द लेडी इज मैनेजिंग हर हाउस वेल, Sonali, we all understand you are free of all encumbrances. You are focusing on your job. Even if it requires supreme sacrifice, you'll never bat an eyelid because you know one thing, that my unit will look after me. They will look after my family.
yes, absolutely, no doubt about it, sir. And even I have faced such situations multiple times, so I can totally relate to it. However, one question which always, like, it has started coming to me back of late, like when I have interviewed men from uniform. So, like, as we all know, that people here, we are groomed, we are taught, or that kind of culture builds, and it stays, it stays. So it stays with you throughout, though you are like you are retired maybe, and you're no more in actual uniform, but that spirit of uniform, those mannerisms are going to stay. But what
Mhm.
about the people outside, like when those who are coming from a certain, most of us, not all are having military training, not all are going through 4G background. So those who are coming from this civil background where they have a lot of male chauvinist thoughts, or I wouldn't say even that, but upbringing is quite typical. Like uh, maybe in a way that the lady has to take care of the house. And even today we see that people have they aspire for a boy, or they think that ladies have to work in the house, or even if they are working outside, they have to come and serve their husbands. So it's nothing. I'm not I don't even want to compare and say that it's something demeaning to take care of your partner. However, that mentality of not placing that respect is still there at to certain extent. And what violence we see outside, or what untoward incidences we see happening, this all spikes through the mentality of revenge probably somewhere, or considering them as a weaker sex. So what would you say about this? I mean, detaching from the military background.
I have seen life in the civil very differently. One, yes, people come from very different backgrounds where women have been treated at a different level, and they have, in certain cases, a lower status as compared to men. However, over a period of time, and I work with a lot of people who are fighting for this inequality, we are only looking at most of the things from a generic view. The way there was a time when people were getting affected because of dowry, today the tables have been turned. So I happen to bring one lady on my podcast who is fighting for the men's right, Deepika Bhardwaj. And if you listen to her, you will start viewing every woman as though she is a predator. बिकॉज शी सेड कि सर हमने हमें मालूम भी नहीं था, मेरे भाई की अभी शादी भी इतनी कच्ची थी जब उस लेडी ने, बिकॉज शी ऑलरेडी हैड समथिंग और वट एवर एंड शी डिडंट वांटेड टू स्टे इन दैट मैरिज, शी पुट allegations, false allegations on us on account of dowry and all those things. And those articles, IPC dharaएं जो है ना 496 and all those things, no questions asked, you are put behind the bar.
Yes,
So the point is,
they favor a lot.
Sonali, we
They
must
love
understand.
those.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
We must understand one thing. There is an old saying that history is always written by the victor. So when there is a battle of sexes going on, when there are this kind of fights happening where some, I would say, illiterate people trying to impose themselves on women, knowing very well that they physically they are not in the same space to fight us out, but God has given them different level of strength. Childbearing is not everyone's cup of tea. Similarly, looking after your family and multitasking is also not something which men are good at. But women are very much good at those things. So, what they do, what they accomplish, is very different from what we can accomplish. And if we are smart enough to understand that, as I told you right in the beginning, कि एक फुटबॉल की टीम के अंदर अगर सारे प्लेयर्स स्ट्राइकर होंगे तो फिर मजा नहीं आएगा. So women bridge that gap. Now, if we give them that respect, if we use their strength at the right place, you have a lovely, wonderful team. Even if it is as a couple, even if it is as two people going out, even if it is as in a corporate world. The problem is that the moment two people come together, people start talking. बिकॉज वो एक हिंदी मूवी का डायलॉग है ना कि आप दोनों दोस्त नहीं हो सकते. Yeah. So what will happen is, because people's limited mentality and those sly smiles and all those things, they will start putting this particular
Speculating.
relationship,
Yes.
which was very different, which was very mature, which was very professional. वो उसको एक डिफरेंट जामा पहना देंगे, वो उसको एक टोटली डिफरेंट आईने से देखने लगेंगे, फ्रॉम अ टोटली डिफरेंट प्रिज्म. एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली, slowly and later, they will part their ways, and a good team which could have done wonders goes breaks apart. So it is our immaturity, it is our inability to handle and see people working together. And we are all smart enough to understand that हम सबको ना लाइफ के अंदर ना लक्ष्मण रेखा मालूम है. I'll give you a very simple example. You can use it probably in your training if time permits. मैंने ना लोगों को शराब के नशे में दूसरों की वाइफ्स को, दूसरों की बहनों को छेड़ते हुए देखा है. बट somehow I have never seen them. भाई आप नशे में थे तो आपको क्या फर्क पड़ा, पता लगता है कि वो आपकी बहन है कि किसकी है. आप तो नशे में थे. And people have not been able to give me that answer. So what I believe is that somewhere down the line you were a bit high, and probably when you have couple of spirits down, so you are in that zone where you can take some risks, those risks which you would never ever take if you
When
were
you are in
the same,
senses,
same if you were in your sane mind or sane
same mind,
senses.
right?
So what you have done is that you have shown your darkness, the bitter truth which is somewhere lurking deep beneath, under, in your heart or in your mind. You use that as an opportunity to strike a vulnerable woman who never thought you will do it. But आपने अपनी मम्मी, अपनी बहन, अपनी कजन किसी को नहीं छेड़ा, पर आपने दूसरों को छेड़ा, पड़ोसियों को छेड़ा. And then later on you are saying, oh, वो तो नशे में हो गया था, नशे में. But you were smart enough to understand that. And this is what I always tell people, that a person who is responsible, even when he's high, he will maintain his distance from women folk. Even he'll maintain distance from his own wife, not least realizing that वो पहचान ही नहीं पा रहा है उस नशे के अंदर.
Right. Very true.
बट इट कैनॉट हैपन दैट आप अपनी वाइफ को कुछ नहीं बोल रहे, अपनी बहन को कुछ नहीं बोल रहे, बट आप बाकियों को तंग कर रहे हो.
Right.
दैट इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल. आपके पास इतनी समझ थी, देन यू शुड बी स्मार्ट इनफ टू टेक दैट. एंड दैट इज वाई व्हेन पीपल से कि अरे ये तो शराब के नशे में हो गया, आई नेवर यूज टू लीव पीपल. Obviously in my unit there were no women or whatever, so things of this nature never happened. But when there were cases of intoxication, I said इसको बाकी सारी समझ थी पर इस चीज की समझ क्यों नहीं थी. Unfortunately, the intoxication law does not permit to penalize somebody when he is under intoxication. So I had found out that what all he can be penalized under when he was out of that particular zone.
Right.
So he must get punishment. You have to use the law so that message gets sent. Not because I want to have an upper hand, but because I want that there
Yes.
should be, इस सोसाइटी के अंदर लोग तभी तक समझदार हैं बिकॉज ऑफ फियर और आउट ऑफ कोर्जन. हम लॉ
Absolutely.
को इसीलिए, तो लॉ से हम डरते हैं, इसीलिए हम उसको फॉलो करते हैं. अगर हम लॉ से नहीं डरते, अगर लॉ से हमें अफेक्ट नहीं होता, तो हम में से कौन फॉलो करता.
Absolutely. So recently there was a video of on a like in Dubai, a lady left gold on her car bonnet, and she went away. She was watching from a shop or somewhere. No one touched that gold chain and gold ring or whatever, because the laws there are so strict, or people know how it works over there. As you said, the fear of law or the strictest of punishments and whatever
Yes,
rules and regulations. So that's important, very important, I think. So
but
coming,
people only work like that.
yes, yes, there has to be that, and that is why I think there is also a word called making a sample, or as they say.
Specimen.
And yes,
Yes,
so
so let's make a specimen out of him.
so, yes, absolutely. So coming towards the, I mean, last question towards the end of, but I mean, it's been so interesting. I don't want to close it, but I still, because of the time frame, I just want to ask you one question: is that what according to you, women should keep in mind while speaking to men? Because usually we see that there is a lot of conflict in conversation or We say that men think differently, women think differently, and then this communication gap starts increasing, and then there's a typical dialogue that no one understands us. So what exactly goes into a man's mind, or how a woman should, or what pointers they should keep in mind, I would just simply ask, while speaking to a man.
Okay, when it comes to women, what I've seen is that because they have been groomed not to look into the man's eyes, and especially अगर पराया मर्द है तो आपने उसकी आंखों में नहीं देखना है, and I feel that is the worst that we could teach a woman. When you're working in the workspace, how do you understand? Sonali, when I work with my team and I ask them who all is willing to come with me on this mission, I look each and every man in his eye. If I see even a shred of fear or uncertainty, I don't take him because he might end up being a liability. Now, when this woman is coming and talking, let's say she just wants to have some kind of a conversation, or she's stuck somewhere, or she's not able to get uh, herself out of a sticky situation, she has to look into that man's eyes. She can't be looking somewhere else and having a conversation with man. Similarly, when a man is speaking to her, they should also understand that they have to maintain a very respectable eye contact, and they must give this impression that they are listening, they are understanding. It can't be that there is too much of nodding of head and all, and finally you don't do anything because you are just faking it. No,
Right.
there has to be an understanding, there has to be a kind of empathy that is shown to that woman by saying that. And if you are not understanding, then ask her to say it multiple times. At least she will understand that you're genuinely interested in the concern that she is bringing out or the point that she is hitting at. Most of the time what happens is men are very they are very short on hearing and all. उनको लगता है कि हमने ना आपने बताया मैंने सुन लिया मैंने सब समझ लिया, and that is why they also have this problem with their better halves. She's trying to tell them something and he says नहीं मेरे को समझ में आ गया, and वो पूछेगी क्या समझ में आ गया, then you are at loss of words. अरे मैंने तो सुना ही नहीं था. So
Right.
because we are more engrossed into कि अभी मैंने वो फुटबॉल का मैच देखना है, अभी मैंने दोस्तों के साथ बाहर जाना है और whatever, no. So our focus areas are very different as compared to women. Women are very professional in their approach. If they go about doing it, most of the women I have worked with in the corporate world during my earlier days, even in the army, I was very fortunate to work with women who were very professional. And my first uh, bout of professionalism came when I saw my mother, then when I saw my wife accomplishing tasks which I would say, if I was given, I would have said, मैंने खत्म कर दिया. But they would do it, and they are the ones who always say that, beta, my mother used to say and my wife used to tell me also, मुझे तो मालूम है ना इसमें क्या कमी है. If others don't see that, so I get confidence when I do a good job. I'm not doing it for others. But if my intent gets reflected and people appreciate it, it
True.
brings me 10 times more joy. But when I fake it and people appreciate it, then I feel that अरे इनको तो मालूम ही नहीं, मैंने तो ऐसे ही काम खत्म कर दिया था. सो हम अपने आप को क्या एक्नॉलेजमेंट देते हैं कि जब हमने ईमानदारी से काम किया तो हमें उसकी जो प्रशंसा मिली, हमें उसके जो एक्नॉलेजमेंट मिला, दैट एक्नॉलेजमेंट गिव्स अस मोर जॉय देन जहाँ पे हमने चलती हालत में लोगों को आंखों में धूल झोंक करके कुछ किया था, एंड वी स्टिल गॉट इट. एंड देन इट ऑल्सो बिल्ड्स अ कैरेक्टर, इट ऑल्सो बिल्ड्स अ लेगेसी वेयर एक बार हमने ऐसे वो फर्जी नोट चला लिया तो हमें लगता है कि अब हर बार चल जाएगा. सो
Right.
अगर वो नहीं चला तो कभी कभी लेने के देने पड़ जाते हैं. एंड जो हमने सालों की जो एक रेपुटेशन बनाई होती है, यू नो, वी इन द आर्म्ड फोर्सेस वी आर वेरी कॉन्शियस ऑफ आवर स्पोकन रेपुटेशन.
Right.
मीन्स हम हमारे पहुंचने से पहले हमारी
Pehle
रेपुटेशन नए स्टेशन
absolutely.
में.
Absolutely.
ठीक है.
Absolutely.
So the same thing is there in any organization. Let's say you are working in a big company and they have got multiple offices pan India. if you get transferred from office in Hyderabad to office in Bangalore, before you reach there, what kind of person you are, what kind of professional ethics you follow, what kind of bungles you have made, what kind of things you have done, how many people you have harmed in your career, how many people you have helped, everything is known to people out there.
Yes, totally.
So our lives are very much transparent. They are like open book. People get to know so much about it. Whatever we may project on the social media that there is nobody leading a better life than me, but that is all. We might be keep on projecting ourselves in a different sense. What is important is that what is my spoken reputation, and I always tell people take care of your spoken reputation, because that is like Google review, no? The more people they give review, lesser are the chances of you faking it.
Very true. Absolutely true. So, thank you so much, sir. It was wonderful talking to you and so many insights. Like, I think it's a very short time to speak to you because the kind of experience and knowledge you carry is tremendous, undoubtedly, and to capture it in a very short time is very difficult. But I'm so thankful to you that you spared your time and you came on this show and shared your valuable insights. So thank you so much, sir, and see you
No,
soon
pleasure
around.
was all mine. I
Thank you,
must
sir.
tell you that this was a very difficult topic that you have chosen for your podcast. And it not only gives you an insight into what men think about women, it also gives you an insight as to how our upbringing was, what kind of impressions over a period of time that life has built in our psyche, and that gets reflected not only through our answers. Look, one can fake these answers, but how we actually behave, perform in the real environment, and that is where the impact is being made. हम यहाँ पे कुछ भी बोल सकते हैं, लेकिन हम जहाँ पे काम करते हैं वहाँ पे हम कैसे इन चीज़ों को अपनी काम करने की ज़िंदगी में, अपने बिहेवियर में लेके आते हैं, that has got more impact. And the way I deal with women will give them that strength. If I want my sister to be, I don't have a sister, but if I want my sister to be empowered, if I want my wife to be empowered, I always tell them, you don't need empowerment, you're already empowered. What you need is go and unleash that. भगवान ने हम सबको उतना ही दिमाग, उतनी ही ताकत, उतना ही सब कुछ दिया, हमें इस्तेमाल करने के हथियार अलग अलग दिए हैं.
Very true. And
सो
a
हमें
very
वो
small
इस्तेमाल करना है.
incidents. I mean, sir, as you speak, I think it is a very minor, it could be seen as a very small thing or as a minor thing. But as when we spoke initially and the system was not working and we had some trouble, technical trouble, I so appreciated you called me upfront and you gave some suggestions about various platforms and how you face the technical issues, and there was no need absolutely, or you could have sit back and said ठीक है होगा तब होगा. But I felt so good after that. I mean, I don't know, I was like so happy that okay, I have these options and I never thought about it, and you calling me upfront and giving that 15-20 minutes was, I think it was really amazing. It may not be seen as something very big, but for me individually, if I see that, it was very precious, it was very valuable, and it changed my mindset, it helped me in my work. So I think that speaks volumes about you as a person, as an individual. I mean, I don't know what to say, because that really set me thinking that ऐसे भी लोग हैं. Yeah, people do that because people most of the time they are in their own world and their own shell, and they are like fine. होगा तो
No,
you know they'll
I,
call.
I'll say one thing. I'm humbled by your honest
No, I
words.
mean it genuinely, sir, because
Yeah,
that time I was
but,
really
but
stuck
more
and I want.
importantly, yeah,
Yes,
more importantly, Sonali, we are all struggling at some point of time or the other. If I have
yes,
gone through that and if I can share that experience and help you navigate through those difficult times, we are all meant to help each other, because मेरा मानना है कि इस दुनिया में लोग बोलते हैं कि अडानी अंबानी को या नरेंद्र मोदी को किसी की मदद की ज़रूरत नहीं है, पर मेरा मानना है कि हम सबको किसी न किसी की मदद की ज़रूरत पड़ती है। We
Absolutely,
all need
absolutely.
help. We all need help. And any help coming at the right time, which can save our precious time, I think there can be nothing better than that. And we are just sharing our experience, leveraging our experience and making somebody's life easier. I think there is no better way of being a fellow human being, a fellow brother officer, a colleague, a person who is operating in the same zone. Why we should be competing? Why we should be happy that Sonali का नहीं चल रहा बहुत अच्छा हुआ? No, उसका
No,
भी
I mean,
चलना चाहिए.
even if not
Yes,
happy, not bothered. The tendencies of being not bothered also.
yes.
Like, मुझे क्या पड़ी है types. But I think it says, and these are very
हमारे पता है
minor things.
हमारे समाज की सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम क्या है सोनाली? हमारे समाज की सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है हम इनडिफरेंट होते हैं। इसीलिए मैं दिल्ली में मैंने जब आज से बहुत साल पहले एक ऑटो के पीछे ये लिखा हुआ देखा था, वो मेरे ज़हन में आज भी छपा हुआ है। एक ऑटो के पीछे लिखा हुआ था कि अगर आपके पड़ोसी के साथ अन्याय हो रहा है और आप उसे देख रहे हैं, तो चिंता मत कीजिए, अगली बारी आपकी है। एंड इट हिट मी लाइक एनीथिंग एंड आई सेड यस, हिंदी मूवीज़ में दिखाते हैं as a
Yes.
group, as a potent force, people could have fought that villain, but nobody had the courage individually, and they never realized the power of that community. So, what we are doing is we are a community, we are a band of brothers, we are from the same forces. If you are struggling and you reached out, we should rather than rubbing it off or saying that go manage yourself or whatever, if I have that experience, I should share it with you. If I can get it from somewhere, I should tell you that Sonali, I know somebody, I can either connect their number or I will get it from them and let you connect with them. Aim is
Yes.
let's make each other's life better.
Easier,
हम
better.
वैसे ही इस धरती पे बहुत कम समय के लिए हैं.
Absolutely true. So very, very valuable pearls shared, I believe. And thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And thanks. It's absolute honor to have you on this show. And see you around soon. So I would all request all the viewers to watch it, and I'm going to share Sir's social media links also along with this interview. So please do subscribe and reach out to Sir if you feel you can, you can ask for help or you need any suggestions or in any way. So thank you, Sir, and see you soon.
Thank you, Sonali. Have a wonderful year ahead and
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year in advance.
Thank you so much. And same to you. And congratulations to ma'am and regards to ma'am too.
पक्का
Thank
पक्का जय हिंद.
Jai Hind.